Today, U.S. warplanes destroying a new kind of ISIS target in Iraq. A training camp near the stronghold of Mosul. The strike eliminating an armed vehicle, 2 buildings, and a group of militants. This is the war on ISIS as it moves from defense to offense. Testifying on the Hill today, Secretary of State John Kerry described the group as far from invincible.
I don't think these guys are 10 feet tall. And the intelligence tells us that as we've begun to hit them, we've been able to prove that to some degree.
The U.S. battle plan still does not include U.S. troops in combat, though the vice president, like General Martin Dempsey before him, appeared to leave that option open to consideration, telling reporters in Iowa that will be determined, quote, based on how the effort goes. For now, though, the burden will fall entirely on indigenous ground forces. In Syria, the goal is to create a rebel force of roughly 5,000, capable of fighting in large, organized units rather than in small teams. The Pentagon says, however, that training such a force could take a full year. In Iraq, Iraqi and Kurdish forces will fight on the ground. The U.S. advisors have now determined that no more than half of the Iraqi army is fit to partner with U.S. forces. The rest either poorly led or dominated by Shiite militias. Speaking before the House Armed Services Committee, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel again spoke of a long, difficult military campaign.
This effort will not be simple. We are at war with ISIL, just as we are at war with al-Qaeda.
The coalition gained one more member today, French President Francois Hollande announcing that France would carry out airstrikes on ISIS as well, though in Iraq, not Syria. Hollande visited Iraq last week. He said he was answering a direct request from the Iraqi government. And Wolf, you'll remember Secretary Kerry has said some 30 countries have offered to join the military part of this campaign, but still not a lot of specificity at this point as to who's contributing what. But France, we at least now know they're going to be part of the air campaign.
Did they explain why Iraq, they would target ISIS targets in Iraq, but not in Syria?
They did not explain. I think that it's an easier choice, and part of it is that, an argument that U.S. officials have made, you have a ground force in Iraq, right? You have the Iraqi military and the Kurdish Peshmerga. You don't have that in Syria.
Syria, those airstrikes are going to be dangerous because you don't have good intelligence necessarily on the ground. A lot of innocent civilians could wind up getting killed as well.
And meanwhile, as you wait, they're changing their behavior on the ground to make themselves harder to spot.